Hello and welcome everyone to our today's session organized by Insights Bharat. I am Advocate Sneha Jain. Our today's session is regarding rising concerns over extrajudicial killings, also commonly termed as encounter killings. Encounters between uniformed personnel and those suspected of committing criminal offences keep recurring despite the Supreme Court laying down guidelines in this respect. The recent incident of killing of gangster Vikas Dubey by the Uttar Pradesh police, the incident of Hyderabad encounter where the four rapists were killed in an encounter by the police, and such various other encounter incidents has been putting the spotlight back on encounters and extrajudicial killings time and again. On one hand, where the legal community is concerned over the consequences of increasing extrajudicial killings, there is a large section of common people that celebrate such encounters and are hailing it as ultimate justice. Every such encounter killing raises serious concerns on the weakening of the rule of law. Whether the people, the upholders who have the responsibility of upholding the rule of law are the ones who are weakening it, etc. According to National Human Rights Commission (NHRC), in an RTI reply, it was revealed that between 2000 and 2017, National Human Rights Commission registered 1,782 fake encounter cases. The issue of encounter or fake encounter is much bigger than it is appearing on the face of it. The people not condemning such act and celebrating the act of going against the rule of law seems to be even bigger issue, as it appears as if common people have completely lost their faith in justice delivery system. Thus, our today's session is being conducted to discuss about the laws surrounding the extrajudicial killing, complications and consequences arising out of it, remedies, etc. Before we move forward, I have few pointers for our participants. Participants are requested to please keep their mic on mute to avoid any kind of disturbances during the session. If any participant has any question for our speaker, they may drop it in chat box and same would be taken up during the question answer round. Now, without further delay, I would like to invite my co-host, Ms. Kritanjali Pradhan, to introduce and welcome our honored speaker for today's session, Advocate Sri Anjani Kumar Singh, sir.
Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to be introducing our guest for the evening. Sri Anjani Kumar Singh pursued his BCom LLB from the prestigious Banaras Hindu University. He has 25 years of wide experience in litigation to his name in various facets of law, namely civil, criminal, arbitration, economic offense, CBI trials, etc. He has appeared before various courts, tribunals, high courts, and also the Honorable Supreme Court in a variety of matters, including several high-profile cases. Sir has also assisted and appeared with the late Sri Ram Jethmalani in various matters. He has appeared for the Varanasi Police, that is UP Police, for seeking custody of then Tada accused Mr. Brijesh Singh before Tada Special Court, Mumbai. He has appeared in various celebrated cases of defamation for Samna Hindi newspaper, late Sri Balasaheb Thackeray, Mr. Subhash Desai, Mr. Sanjay Nirupam, among others. Recently, Mr. Singh has also secured bail for CFO of Mehul Choksi's company, Gitanjali Gems. Sir has acquired a reputation for his skills as well as outstanding and versatile advocacy over the years, and has been called for opinion and discussion on All India Radio and several national TV channels. Sir has been counsel for the central government since 2003 at the Bombay High Court. He is an ardent supporter of various social organizations and other institutions. Sir has been instrumental in starting free legal aid centers in numerous law colleges in Mumbai and takes up pro bono cases for the disadvantaged and has given free legal advice to the poor and needy via various mediums. We welcome you, sir. Now I hand over the platform to Sri Anjani, sir, for our much awaited session.
Thank you. Thank you, Inside Bharat. It's my pleasure to be on this platform and really to talk about the very contemporary issue which has really created a hue and cry in the society, that how the law is actually taking place and how the encounters are taking place, whether all the encounters are legal, valid or not. All these questions are being raised by the media, by the people around. Let me share, there is a popular perception, popular saying that a man who lives by gun dies by bullet. But that is a popular perception. That is creating a kind of encouraging people or creating a appreciation giving appreciation to such kind of activities by the public at large. But that is not the law. Law has never seen that a person, if he lives by gun, he has to die by bullet. Law has totally perceived something else. We all remember that Ajmal Kasab, who was a terrorist, but he was given a complete trial, and he has been given support of the local advocate. He was properly given a machinery to defend himself properly, and thereafter he was executed or given a capital punishment. So the perception what public has created, or nowadays social media, like if you all remember that Hyderabad case, that doctor's case, the 4 accused who have allegedly raped, they were encountered and they were killed. I'm just putting a question. Presuming in Hyderabad case, on the toll naka, probably some very high and mighty people were involved into that act of rape. And probably, I'm just giving a chance, because in criminal law, lots of probabilities are there. You have to understand the probabilities. And those criminals may be high and mighty. When they knew that this lady is killed, or they have burned that lady, and they wanted to get away from that, is it not possible that entire killing of 4 young boys who never had any criminal antecedents, there was no criminal case against them, but they have been killed in encounter, they have been murdered in encounter? And what was the allegation? Allegation was that they attempted to snatch away the revolver of the police officer. In retaliation, police officer has fired and he was dead. What I'm trying to say, the law has to balance. But let me tell you, let me come to the topic, today's topic, how the topic has been kept and what we have to think, because topic will derive everything. The topic says, if in nutshell I have to answer the topic, because topic is in a question form. If I have to answer the topic is whether after every alleged encounter killing, our constitution or rule of law blink or become helpless. In my opinion, at least to the extent we have developed our criminal law, we have developed our, by judicial pronouncements, lots of interpretations are given to the constitution. I can assure you, at least after the alleged killing, after any such fake encounter, alleged fake encounter, our legal system, our constitution is not helpless. It has already created lots of provisions of law, lots of protections, lots of rules. If it is to be followed in verbatim, no person who has committed the offense of killing innocent will be exempted or will be acquitted. Rather, he would be punished, and the law will take its own course by the time, only it's a matter of time. So if in one line it is to be answered the topic, that after alleged fake encounter, let me assure you, we have ample provisions of law, and we have remedy in the books of law, we have remedy in the constitution. But yes, before alleged encounter or at the time of alleged encounter, probably, because law, we used to talk law is blind. I will never say, being an advocate, I will never say law is blind. If anything is brought to the court, brought to the law, it will definitely lead to a logical conclusion. But if prior to killing or at the time of alleged fake encounter, if anybody attempts or kills, probably at that point of time, really our provisions of law or our constitution become helpless. Reason is only one. Reason is only one. Because the constitution as a whole, if you see, constitution is the mother law. Actually, constitution contains parliament, constitution contains judiciary, Constitution contains executives. So what is the Article 21? When you kill somebody, when you shoot somebody, when you when executive indulge into a alleged fake encounter, what you actually do, what that police officer does, what that executive does, they actually violate the fundamental right of that person. That is Article 21 of the Constitution of India. If Article 21 of the Constitution of India, you see what is that? Right to life. Right to life with dignity. And if right to life with dignity is there in our Constitution, so in Constitution there are judiciary, there is executive, there is a parliament, there is other institutions. So it was not only the responsibility to protect the provisions of the Constitution by the judiciary or by the courts, rather it is equally the duty of the executives to protect the Article 21 of the Constitution of India. So what Constitution has envisaged? The Constitution has very clearly envisaged that a life is to be protected by the executive, and where executive fails. That's why I am saying that prior to killing or entering into a fake encounter, or at the time of executing a fake encounter, definitely our Constitution become helpless. This is what I believe. Now let us come to what is the encounter the way it has been defined in India, because the encounter has a very general meaning. But the encounter killing, the moment you say, it comes in mind that somebody was shot and somebody was killed in a cold-blooded manner by the police officer or by anybody else. So if you look into how many, I have described actually approximately 5 types of encounters are there. One encounter, even today there was an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir, encounter of terrorist. Even we are seeing live encounter of terrorists on television many times, that even television enthusiast or television enthusiastic journalist, they are going into the field of the encounter, and even they are reporting it. And even our officers, our police officers, army officers are also getting martyred, they are being killed. We are seeing that. So topic 1 encounter, everybody we are agreeing that there is no issue as such. Now if second kind of encounter, you see the people who are in judicial custody, and not judicial custody exactly, who are in police custody and who are supposed to be ferried or taken to court, or one court to another court, or maybe court from the remand home to court, or from the police station to court, whatever it is. The allegations are that even they attacked the police personnel and they tried to snatch the revolver and they tried to attack, then police in self-defense is attacked and the person was killed. This is second kind of. Third is encounter where, that people very suddenly in a gun battle or randomly they met somewhere to the accused, who are absconding accused, and who was even awarded with certain prize, and that accused, police has suddenly met in an encounter and police fired in self-defense when the person was killed. Another is that a dreaded criminal or slumlord, probably police has to eliminate. He was going from one place to another, or he was on the bail. Suddenly some encounters takes place and the man dies in the encounter, is killed in the encounter. But the fifth is very important. Actually, the fifth one is the only very dangerous one, and that's why every legal forum or our judiciary or even Human Rights Commission, everybody is conscious about this. Every institution is conscious about all these killings. No doubt about that. I'm talking legally, but I'm taking this issue socially also, how the larger perspective has been attached to this entire killing that people are supporting on social media. Like in Hyderabad case, actually I will say that the police officer was so much in pressure that without verifying or widening, because I remember that time some writ was filed before Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, our Justice Bobde, Chief Justice of India's bench, has taken a very strong view against that encounter, and court has said that how the statement given by the police officer at 2-3 different places are creating lots of doubts. So identically, if in those 5 categories, if initial accept terrorist issue, because that is most of the time live, and even we are also losing our officers and our officers are getting martyred, except that if these 2-3 kind of cold-blooded or with this kind of a story that the accused was being ferried from court to police station or jail, in the meantime he attacked the police van, police officer, and then he tried to snatch the revolver, police in retaliation attacked, and then he was killed. In such kind of encounter, if is being supported by the government, by the agencies, by the people, by the media, and a justification would be propagated for such kind of killing, then let me tell you, there are officers who are overtly or overt enthusiasts, and those irresponsible few officers will give very bad name to the entire agency, entire police community, and probably then another kind of allegation. That's why lots of judgments are passed, which I'll discuss with you. When cold-blooded murder, contract killing murder, eliminating the criminals, selectively murder, the encounter drive murder, and then even killing innocent people without any having criminal antecedents, in such cases will increase. These such cases will increase definitely if we will not take objection against any violation of rule of law in any kind of encounter. This is what I believe as a legal fraternity person, that we should definitely take objection to any kind of killing where the law is compromised. But let me tell you, even we believe sitting in our home that certain law has been compromised, but be rest assured that we have developed the law to the extent that law can definitely look into the situation and the cases. And if any accused of encounter killing, fake encounter killing would be there, he cannot go scot-free at all, because already lots of law and judgments and authorities, Human Rights Commission guidelines are already on place. So looking into this fact, I have already discussed the categories, what I have thought about that these are the categories. And what is the effect of that if we permit top 3, except one terrorist, we permit top 3, or we take casually top 3, the rest 2, the innocent person will be killed. Now, let us think what happens, how police, mostly because we are talking in civilians, you know, among civilians, encounters are of various kind. When I talk about the terrorist, it is in Jammu Kashmir, cases came in Manipur. So those cases I'm not talking about. I'm talking in the civil society, encounters. The moment an encounter takes place, how police justify the dead body, because in every encounter there is a dead body. How police justify, how the records are being created. So I'll share with you, because I have an experience, I have seen a case like that. What happens, I'm just giving an instance. What happens when a police officer opens fire in self-defense and says that I offered to surrender the criminal who was who was hiding in a hideout, and he fired on me, he failed to surrender. He fired upon the police party in self-defense. We police party, mind well, I'm using the word self-defense. In self-defense, we police party have attacked upon or attacked over that hideout. And after some time, no gunfire was coming from that side. Then we stopped, we went there. I have seen such FIR actually. That's why I'm referring to that FIR. I'll not refer the case. Why I am not referring the case? Because I have appeared in the case. So when police party went to the hideout, found the man was alive, but he was injured and he was bleeding profusely. We immediately called the ambulance. The man was taken to a hospital. In hospital, he was given a primary treatment, and then he was declared dead by the doctors. And then for postmortem, his body has been sent. This is the FIR. This is the fact. Why FIR is being written? FIR is being written only for the purpose to probably justify the dead body, how this dead body has come into the picture. This is what I believe. This is my approach. Now, a very legal thing I am going to discuss with you. And I have gone through many cases, even for this topic while preparing. I have gone through many judgments of Supreme Court. And I am finding that this issue has never been raised in the manner, the way I am going to raise now. What happens when the FIR is being written? FIR is also being written on that line only. What FIR is being written now? Question arises. FIR is being written against that deceased who was a criminal, who was a violent criminal, who was an absconding criminal, whatever it is, who was an alive man, who was in an encounter, fake or correct, that is subject matter to be decided by the court, who was killed in an encounter, and then his body was sent after writing FIR. How FIR is being written? That he attempted to kill the police party. So what sections are being applied? 307, attempt to murder. And in that FIR written that under the self-defense, the police has retaliated and the man was dead. And the accused was the same deceased. So once after postmortem report and everything, the dead body is being handed over to the family members of that criminal. What happens thereafter? Police investigate. Who are in investigation? Those police people only. The constable who has carried the body, the police party who has fired upon the criminal, the local 2-3 people who are there or not there, that is also subject matter to be tested. And then FIR and then charge sheet is being created. After filing everything, it goes to the court and matters get abated because the accused is dead. And accused is dead, file is closed. This is what happens. Now a question I am going to raise here, or an issue which I am going to share with you. If in an FIR, somebody says, or police says, that FIR is registered and section 307 has been applied, attempt to murder, and the accused was he, and the self-defense we have taken, and we fired, and the man was dead. Here, in my opinion, I am giving you another set of facts now to you, and another case, just to understand and differentiate yourself. There is a case going on in the court. We are appearing for a accused committed the murder, 302. As an advocate, the accused says to us that, sir, I have fired upon him because he was also having, the dead person was also having a gun. He fired upon me and I saved myself. There is evidence that there was a fire, bullet fire on my door, left hand side. I saved myself, and in retaliation when I fired, it went point blank to him and he expired and he is dead. So I have taken the law of self-defense under section 96 to 106 of IPC. And we being a lawyer, we prepare a case that yes, we have, our client has actually, he did whatever he did under the law of self-defense, section 96 to 106 of IPC, he should be acquitted. Mind well. The moment being a lawyer, you take this defense in the court that your client has taken the defense, self-defense, and he should be acquitted from the offense because he was attacked by the deceased. automatically the entire burden would be shifted upon you or the accused, because now you are admitting two things: that you have fired by your gun, and by your gun the person expired or person is dead now. The moment you admit this, so one fact is very much admitted, that the man who was brought dead to the hospital or who was killed, allegedly, he was killed by your gun and by you, by a point blank range, definitely by taking the defense of self-defense, which is the subject matter to be tested in the court in further hearing. So now what will happen, what is the basic principle of criminal law? The basic principle of criminal law is that every case has to be proved by the prosecution against the accused beyond reasonable doubt. This is the general principle. Here what you are doing, the moment you said that you have killed the person, you are admitting the killing. Now the entire burden of proof would be shifted upon your head. Now you have to prove before the court or prove yourself before the court. Now prosecution will sit. Prosecution will simply say that he has admitted killing. Now he has to prove his innocence by arguing the matter, by raising his defense, that whatever he has done in his self-defense, and the self-defense, the argument of self-defense has to be accepted by the court by passing the judgment. Now entire burden is shifted upon you. Now come from this case to that case. Now if a police officer takes a case that I have fired somebody killed, and we did in self-defense, then what should be the normal procedure? Tell me. The normal procedure should be that this case must go to the court, and in court, police party and police officer must prove that they have fired by way of right of exercising their right of private defense, and in exercise of right of private defense, the accused was killed. Where is this? It nowhere happens. It has never happened. It has never been kept written like this. Any FIR, what I have noticed, even I have not found. And let me tell you, this is the procedure. In 1993, so I believe what I am trying to point out the issue, that how these, law has been misinterpreted, misused, or misunderstood. And sometimes, I'm holding for a moment. I'm sharing one fact with you. Many are there, many people are there here and must be reading the newspaper. I don't know, many people must be knowing that the CBI, the sanctity of CBI, the validity of CBI investigating all the cases across India was challenged in Guwahati High Court. And Guwahati High Court has said that CBI is a investigating agency under Delhi's Special Act, which does not have jurisdiction and power to decide the matter all across India. So each and every case investigated by CBI is fraud or useless. It cannot be. When immediately very next morning the matter was challenged in Supreme Court, an order of the Guwahati High Court was stayed very next day by Supreme Court. Because it is 2-3 years back, I remember, because all the cases where even Supreme Court has ordered the CBI inquiry, all cases were supposed to go in vain and without any result if that order would have been accepted. And then this order was justified by Supreme Court. Why I have shared this instance with you? What the right of private defense I have shared with you, I have given you two propositions. If a proposition applies to a simple accused who exercises rights of private defense, then why it should not be applied equally to the police officer who are taking their right of private defense and killing somebody in encounter? Fake or true? Court will decide, but case will not be closed as abated. So that's why this fact was very important to share with you. Now I'll let you a few more things. These are the problems, let me tell you. The law, but still, we lawyers, our institution has really come up for a longer period of time, and every court is conscious about the cold-blooded killing. And let me tell you, simultaneously, we should not only allege upon the police. Rather, it's not, I am saying, but I subscribe the view taken by the courts many a time, that just be into the side of police for some time. You see that under what failing circumstances police are working many times. Police are facing lots of pressures. So we cannot, and police are given gun under the provisions of law to deal with the people. Police controls law and order in society with perception. We don't have every individual constable behind every individual citizen in the locality, in the local jurisdiction of the police station. So why police is in a position to control the society? Police led us with a perception. We all general people, normal people are having certain perception about the police, that police will be there, therefore the law and order is maintained. So the difficulties of police, the problem of police also should not be ignored. And we have to actually, what is the duty of the law? What is the duty of the courts? We have to weigh the balance. We have to see that there should not be fake encounters violating the various law, and it should not be a practice, or it should not become a trend. But simultaneously, we have to see that society should also live peacefully, and people who himself are not living or coming with clean hand, they should not take the unlawful advantage of the human rights. They should not take unlawful advantage of all these legal provisions or rules of law. So let me tell you, these all problems were there. In 1993, we have Protection of Human Rights Act we have enacted, 1993. 1996, 1997, a complete guideline was issued by Human Rights Commission to be followed by different states. I'll share one thing with you, that in 1997, even after the guidelines, and there is a judgment of 2017 by Justice Madan Lokur in Supreme Court. In that judgment, Gopal Subramaniam has appeared for National Human Rights Commission before the Supreme Court. He used the terminology about the Human Rights Commission in 2017 I'm talking about. He said that Human Rights Commission is a toothless tiger. And it was discussed very well, all the guidelines. Even formation of State Human Rights Commission has not taken place in various states. And if appointment has been done of any retired judges of High Court as a chairman of the commission, then there is no staff, there is no people to work, there is no basic requirements to deal with such cases. So that's why, and this terminology has been accepted by the court, that National Human Rights Commission or Human Rights Commissions in India are toothless tiger. But though it has been accepted by the court in 2017, but still we cannot negate the role of Human Rights Commissions all across India. In all difficulties, even Human Rights Commission is also working very well. Let me tell you, somewhere in 1997, 96, even this practice of writing FIR, the way I have discussed with you all, that under section 307 FIR is registered, the man is killed, body is handed over, cases, statements are recorded, charge sheet is filed, magistrate close the matter, case is abated, case is closed because the accused is dead. This issue in 1997 itself was negated by a commission in Andhra Pradesh. A commission was appointed because in Andhra Pradesh various such FIRs were registered and killing were done. Andhra Pradesh, the commission has negated and has passed an order and has ruled out this kind of writing FIR. But after that also all across India, it never stopped. Let me tell you, there are various judgments from Guwahati High Court to Bombay High Court, Punjab and Haryana High Court. Many cases came from the Guwahati High Court because in those days, most of the violations were taking place in Manipur, Nagas area, and because of that, lots of cases came. People are more educated over there and vigilant. Cases mostly came from Guwahati High Court to Supreme Court. Many times, the guidelines of the National Human Rights Commission was approved. And it was even accepted by the court. But 2012, G.V. Varghese judgment was there, which came from Gujarat High Court. In that judgment, Supreme Court was about to pass a drastic order against various encounters. When the state government of Gujarat in 2010, matter was old, judgment was about to be passed in 2012, so judgment is of 2012. 2010, Gujarat High Court has appointed a monitoring commission, and then that monitoring commission authority was enacted by the notification Government Gazette, and Justice M.B. Shah, who was a retired Supreme Court judge and who was the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court also, we have appeared before him. So he was appointed as a chairman of that commission. Therefore, Supreme Court has given all the powers to the authority, that particular authority, to investigate about the all kind of alleged encounter killing. One of the best judgment, if you all, I can just point out, it is of 2014 judgment, People's Union of Civil Liberty versus the state of Maharashtra. This judgment has really did something in favor of people or victims' family across India. This 2014 judgments was taken up by Supreme Court Justice Lodha at that point of time, who was the Supreme Chief Justice of India. And at least 20 cases were discussed prior to that. 97 guidelines were discussed of Human Rights Commission. Revised guideline was also discussed. United Nations organizations protocol were discussed and guidelines were discussed. One Minnesota, if I am correctly spelling, guidelines were discussed. And discussing all the guidelines and NHRC guidelines issued by and revised and time to time revised by the NHRC, Supreme Court has ultimately made a law by issuing the guidelines, and in last paragraph Supreme Court has said in that 2014 judgment that it would be law under Article 141 of the Constitution of India. Now that provision or that judgment has to be followed in toto. Lots of issues are there in that judgment, guidelines, how suppose a person is killed, then how it has to be, how immediately who has to be contacted, how whether if it is killed by the same police party from the same police station, then a police officer has to be called from other police station, how the evidence has to be collected, how the person who has fired from his gun, he has to submit his gun for the purpose of forensic inquiry. And if the body is to be taken for a postmortem report, then how the postmortem has to be done, how 2 doctors has to be there, how the chief of the hospital has to be there in the postmortem, the entire postmortem has to be done, video recording, lots of guidelines are there. Even how the report has to be placed, how the materials or residues of body and which has to be kept, residues of bullets, fire which has been found in the body, what and how long it has to be kept, how the magistrate has to be informed, then magistrate inquiry has to be done. You know, these all guidelines are there. Section 175, 76 is also mentioned, 74, 75, 76 of CRPC. These provisions are there in CRPC, but those guidelines has been taken up that if such encounters are taking place, then section 174, 75, 76 of CRPC has to be applied, and then magistratal inquiry has to be done. That magistratal inquiry, in what manner it has to be written, it is also discussed. How the report is to be prepared, it is also discussed. Then those guidelines, and it has been made under Article 141 of the Constitution of India. So the 2014 judgment is a law of the land for the time being. And as a member of legal fraternity, I am satisfied with those guidelines. And that's why I made a comment in my opening statement that law is already there, and our institution or a guardian of the or interpreter of the Constitution is not helpless. And the law is already placed, only it has to be made aware to the people. So 2014 judgments. Let me tell you a few more things. While deciding these matters from Punjab and Haryana, from Guwahati, from Bombay High Court, from Gujarat High Court, a new law has been emerged actually, which was never, it is nowhere written. And we don't have any law as such, and it was actually done first time in 2000, only 2000 by Guwahati High Court. The compensation was awarded 20 lakhs rupees to a victim's family. So even such encounters are taking place, or illegally, if any encounter with causant material on record or with evidences, it is coming to the conclusion in the inquiry or in the report that yes, the encounter was prima facie fake, then entire machinery will follow, which is normally following in any normal case. Apart from the compensation and everything, means if prima facie it appears by the inquiry, and which inquiry report is being sent by the magistrate, even in the guidelines, even district judge has also been given jurisdiction and power to look into the issue, that even you can complain to district judge also. So it's a matter, I can read, but I believe when I'm talking, I need not, mostly I should avoid reading, because it's interactive, and I should not, if I mention the judgment, anybody can read the judgment. So the compensation has been awarded to the victim's family, and FIR is being registered if prima facie case is found. Under section 190, the same report has to be sent to a judicial magistrate, and judicial magistrate take cognizance and can order to register the FIR. If police does not register FIR, immaterial. Police may not register FIR. Or you may have to go to victim's family, has to go to a high court by filing a writ petition that you please register FIR, there is a LS fake encounter killing. So even that procedure is also very much in shape. So 2014 judgment has paved the very good roadmap or way for dealing such matters, and even compensations are also being awarded. Apart from that, even FIR is also being registered, and then matters are being taken up as a normal case of murder, where those police officers has to defend them that whether they have killed the said deceased, alleged accused or not. Therefore, now I would like to conclude like this. Then what should be the remedy? Still, because still the problem is there, and it is subsisting in the sense because we create doubt, or we have doubts. The modus operandi of the police is not up to the mark, or probably they are not following the rule books. See, let me tell you one more thing. We have not to be blind against the police. Always keep in mind, if you are in the field of law, you cannot be blind. You have to weigh the balance. You have to see the balance. It's therefore every individual case is a case to be looked into, that whether any law has been violated or not, whether the rule book has been followed by the police or not. So then what is the remedy? I told you in my initial, opening discussion, that the biggest problem and fear in the society is about if lawlessness will prevail in the law protecting body, that is police or investigating agencies, it will create a fear in the mind of people, and probably their overt act may indulge them in contract killing or innocent killing. And these fears should also be keep in mind always. And therefore, while concluding, I will say that what are the remedy, even that law should not, justice should not be done, but it must appear that justice has been done. How even executives, they are part of the constitution. Executives are not beyond the constitution. They are also functioning as per the constitution. They have to protect my fundamental right of Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Judiciary comes later when you knock the door of the court. So what are the remedy? While concluding, I can say that actually what happens, the police officers are very responsible, and actually they are too busy. They are being given every kind of responsibility in society. So there should be proper legal training of the police officer. I am sure, it is my opinion, I have thought about, if those guidelines of that Civil Liberties Judgment of 2014 is being read over the police constables and officers properly in their vernacular language, properly explained to them, let me tell you, no police officer will indulge into such things. What are the few other points in the guideline? After getting an allegation of such encounter killing, those police officers will not be considered for promotion. This is also one of the guidelines. They will not be awarded any prize. That is also part of the guidelines. You tell me, if a police officer is given power, a gun or authority as an executive to act as per the provisions of law, and if he will be having a sense, and if he will be explained that if you will indulge into any illegal thing, you may meet this fate, be rest assured, even any officer may say, any senior officer may say to do anything, every police officer will apply his or her own mind and then will decide that whether he has to do some illegal thing or not. Therefore, in my opinion, the first thing is what? Educate properly and give proper training, and at least send your officers for 1 month or 2 months or at least 15 days annually to some trainings, legal training, I would say. They should be taught law not less than us as far as criminal law is concerned. I am aware, I have noticed in every police station or in most of the police stations, few seniors are competent to write FIR, not all. So if you will ask your client or ask your any junior advocate that whether FIR is registered, no sir, they have written it, but the senior has to approve it because he is expert in writing FIR. He will look into that, then he will approve it. Why police do not write FIR random? Because what is the law says about FIR? The moment complaint comes, FIR has to be registered. No inquiry has to be done prima facie in most of the cases, except certain cases. So if FIR has to be registered by filing a complaint, then why police is not registering? Because police is not understanding that maybe the person who is getting the copy of the FIR or complaint, before writing, he has to take approval from his senior. The senior will read. These are the practical difficulties. So what we have to do, see, we cannot simply curse our police officer. They are only maintaining law and order in our society. Probably that's why we are peacefully discussing and talking. I'm not trying to boast of them, but I'm trying to maintain a balance. So always keep in mind how we can correct them, how we can really inculcate more responsible, make them more responsible, more inculcate more responsibility in them. How come we can do that? Only by way of educating, and by educating them with legal provisions, with the provisions of law. And the second remedy would be that even people are also not aware about the rights. Let me tell you, I feel very bad about, I mean, in this forum, people may feel bad or may not agree with me, but the Hyderabad encounter, probably it was very much in haste and under pressure. Crime was heinous, no doubt about that. A doctor was raped, and not only raped, she was murdered. She was burnt alive. It was most heinous crime, I believe, and definitely the capital punishment was only the solution if it was proved. But I am doubting, because what I suggested, probably if that could be, because there was no antecedents of those accused, there was no FIR against them, then it is very heinous. Counterpart, if you see, it is also equally heinous. So what we have to do? Not we have only to educate the police officer, they are definitely to be educated, but the problem is about the awareness of law. You know, many of us do not know about the provisions of law. We should know, we should learn. It's a day-to-day thing. Or we should organize, we should guide people that see, I mean, these are the basic day-to-day law, we should know about that. Your rights, what are your rights, how you can go to the police, how you can go to the court, how you can go to various NGOs. There are lots of organizations who are really supporting various cause of poor people. So in my opinion, educating, guiding, and you know, interacting, and not only that, one more thing which is very important: never sit if your rights are violated. Always approach to law and have trust in law. That only will make the society more lawful. The problem with society is that people, jane do, leave it. No need. Why to go to police station? Never do that. Have courage. If you are finding difficulty, go to some NGO, talk to your lawyer. Many lawyers are doing pro bono services, but raise your voice. If you will raise your voice, the society will be alert, the police will be educated, people will be encouraged. Only by adopting all these means we can make more lawful society, and this is all about. Thank you.
Sir, as you said, there are elaborate set of guidelines given by Supreme Court to be followed in such kind of cases. But what do you think? Do you think it is followed in its letter and spirit?
I don't think so. In my opinion, yes, it is not being followed in letter and spirit.
So, in your opinion, what fails in our system that triggers fake encounters?
I beg your pardon.
So, what fails in our system or procedures that triggers fake encounters? Could the elaborate legal procedures and hearings, which takes too long, people lose patience and then they are supporting fake encounters or encounters like these?
Let me tell you, actually people are not supporting fake encounter. Take the case of Vikas Dubey. People are only reacting to the fake encounters as per their wisdom. As per their wisdom, as per the popular perception created by media and social media. I was seeing a movie on Netflix, The Hack. Very brilliant movie. You all can see. It's a documentary. How social media is now creating perception in the mind of people, and 60 to 70% people are being influenced by media and social media. We are so blank that we go with our wisdom. You know, lots of facts actually, lots of factors are there. Like your upbringing, in what atmosphere you have been brought. Your upbringing, your company, then your knowledge, your education, your understanding, with all these backgrounds of the, you know, you receive information from outside, and all these backgrounds help you to react accordingly. And if any suggestion also comes, suggestion I'm saying, with certain creating certain perception, then all these your five factors pick up that perception, and then you start either hating or just appreciating. So this is, let me tell you, it is all about the perception and how the people are actually reacting. This is what I believe.
So let's presume that most of the cases are like that. Actually, accused was trying to attack police, and then police in self-defense killed them. But there could be one case. There is a possibility that there could be case where actually accused was not attacking, but he was implicated falsely in the crime, and then he got murdered. Agar later, for बाद में we get to know that he was actually not the accused and he was falsely implicated, then it would not be fair, right? So in your
Absolutely
opinion,
right. Here, the guidelines are there, which guidelines I have talked about in 2014. Guidelines are there. That's why it is there that magistrate has to be called, police officer from the other police station has to be called, immediately the material has to be given to the magistrate, immediately at the time of postmortem it has to be video recorded, and all these things. See, let me tell you, that's why I told you, referring to the topic, after the fake, alleged fake encounter killing, our constitution is not mute spectator, not helpless, but probably before that or at the time of encounter. And that is also, I'm using the word probably because that is also a matter to be tested, you know, before the court of law. In court, it has to be tested whether it is a correct or it is a fake encounter, or whether it is a correct encounter. It is all a subject matter of evidence. But I fully agree with you. Here is a big gray area, because what happens, there is a police reform suggested, I have read somewhere. I'll come to that. You know, what happens, this gray area was I was talking about, that if the accused becomes prosecutor, if the accused become a person to collect the evidence against him, it is not to be possible or not to be actually made out the case. But still certain police officers are there. You know, even there is another guideline that if such fake encounter is doubtful, then another agency, an agency has been named, CID has to be brought into. Immediately the CID has to be brought into. But again I said, it is not being followed in letter and terms. But let me tell you, if it is not being followed in letter and terms, and if you are coming with that evidence, that's why I told you that people in society, every individual has not to be shy while approaching to police officer or court or any agency, or even court. Court is the safest place, to any NGO.
Sir, as per Supreme Court guidelines, there has to be CCTV installed in all the police stations.
Yes,
but,
yes.
As advocates, when we visit police station, we don't clearly see that CCTVs are installed, or even if they're installed, they are not working. So do you
Let me tell you, if your advocates friends are going and you are aware that CCTV is not installed, then why should I ask any question to general people or general public? I believe it is the duty of us advocates actually to write a letter to get a CCTV or to get a CCTV record for the day that I came on that day to police station. Sorry. As per the guidelines, CCTV has to be installed. Please give in the copy of CCTV that at what time I was present in the police station. If they fail to give, file a complaint. Make this police officer responsible. Disrobe him from the service.
Let's presume, sir, that CCTVs are installed and it is working as per the guidelines. Do you think it would prove deterrent in custodian torture and encounters, etc.?
Yes. Actually, there is, again, I'm telling you, the guidelines are very exhaustive. Every 6 months, a report has to be sent from the DG office, all entire about the compliance of all these guidelines. So these things, actually, I am telling you, the law is there in the law books. The problem is about the implementation. And we have never to forget that we have to maintain the balance as well. That tomorrow the terrorists should not come forward and take the defense of human rights and then cry foul about the system. So there should be balance. We talk in the court if you are coming with clean hand or not. Mostly if you file a writ petition, criminal writ petition, the first question is being raised against you that, my lord, the petitioner has not come with the clean hand. See these conducts of the petitioner. So I believe all these factors are very important. But yes, as a member of the legal fraternity, it is our duty that we should see that more people should come forward and we should educate people all across in society.
जैसे आपने बताया कि हमेशा ऐसे होता है कि पुलिस बोलते हैं कि वो अक्यूज्ड अटैक करने का ट्राई कर रहा था बिकॉज ही वाज नॉट हैंडकफ्ड एंड एवरीथिंग सो द सुप्रीम कोर्ट गाइडलाइंस टू नॉट हैंडकफ द अक्यूज्ड इज गोइंग अगेंस्ट द ये हेलो
No, I could not hear. I could not understand what you are saying. Tell me.
Sir, there are Supreme Court guidelines not to handcuff accused. Do you think it gives chance to accused to attack police or even excuse to police to say that accused was attacking them and therefore they in self-defense attacked him again?
Then I believe this is the very valid point. On this count only we can raise this issue in writ jurisdiction before any High Court or Supreme Court, and we can say that then accused should be given, should not be left without handcuff, and they should be actually with handcuff, because then only they can be saved. Otherwise they will be killed in the fake encounter, isn't it?
So there's a forum called State Police Complaints Authority, which is a forum for complaints against police officers for dereliction of duty, etc. What is your experience with that forum? Do you think
I don't have any experience with that, but let me tell you, I felt very bad when I became to know that even NHRC is lacking the staff and proper mechanism, that in 2017 Supreme Court has said that you are a toothless tiger. Then I cannot, these all institutions are created only maybe to just have an eye wash and nothing else.
So as you said, as per the guidelines, the victim's family is to be given compensation if it is proved
Yes.
that. So what is the approach of court in granting compensation?
Yes, that approach is very liberal, because otherwise, you see, I'm just giving you instance. If suppose FIR is registered, prima facie case is made out of the fake encounter killing, FIR is registered. Now as per the FIR, case has to go, case may be expedited because it's a encounter, L is encounter killing, so mostly such cases are being expedited. It will be disposed of in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But in the meantime, if victim's family goes to the court and files a petition for compensation, etc., court will consider it. Though the case is only prima facie, because what we know, FIR is not the complete case. Even charge sheet is also not the complete case. The FIR charge sheet has to be proved in the court beyond reasonable doubt. Then only accused will be punished. So Supreme Court, High Court does not wait for punishment. Supreme Court, even one case which came from Punjab and Haryana High Court, yes, in that case, Supreme Court said that about 7 years are passed and prima facie it looks that some foul play, because 2-3 reports were missing. I said guidelines were not being followed. So as per the guidelines, the activities of police were not complete, and it came on record that police, while executing an encounter, has failed to follow certain guidelines, and basically on the basis of that failure by the police, people came in writ jurisdiction, the family member came in writ jurisdiction before the High Court to register FIR and investigate the matter and seeking compensation also. Court said that after 7-8 years, it is very difficult to collect the evidence. It is very difficult to get the witnesses. It is very difficult to get the proper evidence to prosecute and to uh, to convict the culprit. The primary evidence may not be there on record. Therefore, looking into the dereliction of duties and etc., the compensation is awarded. And yes, departmental inquiry can be done against the officer concerned. So these are other things where court has taken a view that even a court can pass an order or can issue a direction to the Director General of Police to take a departmental inquiry, initiate a departmental inquiry against the police officer.
Sir, I'll take few questions from our viewers.
Please.
We have a question from Mr. Durgesh Thakur. What is the way forward to minimize such media trails, which is becoming reason for people at large to socially accept or justify fake encounters?
Let me tell you, Mr. Thakur, actually, the media trail, what you're talking about, it is always there. Let me tell you, neither media trail influences the court, nor the court is supposed to be influenced by media trail. So, if it is you are influenced or people like you are influenced by the media and media's perception, which I have discussed, media perception, court does not function on the basis of court is because of the democracy. And now what is happening in democracy? Mobocracy is created. Mob. People saying that if I say something, Twitter trending. There are groups, they cause your tweet to trend. And then you get the benefit of that you are being visible. So these all are created. That's why the hack, if you have access to the movie, documentary, The Hack, you see that. The same thing I talked about. Media is nothing. All media trial is of no use. Neither it is going to influence the court. This is what I believe. Don't get affected. Also, you do your job. Let people create. Have your own perception.
So next question is from Advocate Brijesh. He asks, is it not that police is resorting to fake encounters because they are not competent enough to make a watertight case against the accused, and they have a perception that judiciary is also incompetent to do justice, as usually the prosecution fails to put the proper case in trial? If it's so, then what is the remedy?
You are absolutely right, Mr. Brijesh. Even I do believe that police officers are not competent enough to make out the proper case, even from the time of filing FIR till submitting the charge sheet. They are fully incompetent, and that's why we lawyers who are totally deep into our legal profession, we find flaws in that, and we get acquitted the accused, and most of the accused have actually committed the crime. See, here I am sitting as a social engineer. Here I am not sitting as a lawyer for an accused. It is my duty, it is our duty as a lawyer to see that there should be law and order in society. So you are absolutely right. I fully agree with you that police officers are not competent. And let me tell you, in 2010, in Navbharat Times, Mumbai, I have given an interview. On the same line, I have given the interview. That time, Ashwani Kumar was the CBI director. He has also given an interview in Navbharat Times. I remember that. I said that our entire criminal justice system has to be developed, and even we should create an independent legal department in each police station. And writing of FIR should be given, power of writing FIR should be given to only the lawyers who are sitting in police station and having minimum 5 years of practice. They should only be appointed to write FIR, and they should issue advisory and guidelines. And then they should tell that as per the FIR, you investigate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you, after investigating, bring it to the police station. And then that lawyer working in the police station, legal officer, will only prepare a charge sheet. Now then you see why conviction rate will not increase. The problem is that the person who writes FIR reluctantly, who does not know the nitty-gritty and fine application of law, and then he investigate matter as per his wisdom, and sometimes under some corrupt practice purposely investigate and make a poor case, and then accused is acquitted. But as far as judge you said, I totally disagree with you, because even a magistrate who comes to become a magistrate, he comes through a very a very difficult process. So I believe majority of the judges are very competent. And one thing which is very much generally applicable, that lawyers, police officers, judges, everybody should be given some break for the purpose of training and developing the law. Simply following the law will not suffice the purpose. We are following the law created and enacted by the Britishers, and still we are living with this in this society. Even kudos to and appreciation to those Britishers also, they have given a legal system to us.
As we're running out of time, I'll take up last two questions for the day. Next question is from Ms. Anita. Is it not true that police officers engaged in fake encounters are only transferred and or suspended for the short time, but no major action is taken against them?
No, Anita, measures are there. You people and we people have to take, or the victim's family has to take. And it is not only in India, let me tell you, it is world over. We believe that our Indian law and legal system is bad. No. You must have recently heard in United States of America what has happened.
Yes, George.
A black was killed by the police. And then you see how the America was burning. See, the society is all across world the same. Never demean your society. We are living in a very best society, let me tell you. You have to think positive. And yes, if laws are there, you have to correct it. We have to correct it. We have to take initiative. We have to, inculcate people.
Sir, what measures would you propose for improving the laws relating to encounter killings or custody and torture?
That would be always a separate discussion. Let me tell you, Neha. Yeah, because even I have suggested to certain media and times, and those guidelines, even my guidelines, has to be looked into. Then it will take a complete session of 40 minutes at least. But what in nutshell I have said about this topic, that actually we should educate people. These are the basic things. We should keep interacting. We should keep talking. Then only we'll be in a better position. We'll do a better society. Then only police will also not do some heinous thing, because police will know why people say, let me tell you a few things. Why people say that Mumbai police is very sensible. Mumbai police is very sensible. Mumbai police follow the rules. Mumbai police interact with the people very well. Delhi police interact with the people very well. Because most, educated, enlightened, right conscious people are residing in these metro cities. That's why. It's totally the society, the way it will react to the agency will react accordingly. Simple.
Due to the paucity of time, we are not able to take any more questions. And if any participant has questions, they may mail it to us or comment us on YouTube or Facebook. With that, we have come to end of today's session. Certainly, there are some suggestions and proposals which should be looked into with regards to these laws. I thank Anjani Kumar Singh, sir, for providing his valuable insights on the topic and giving us all of us clarity about it. We hope to seek knowledge from you again on some other burning issues, sir. Thank you so much for today's informative session.
Thank you, Sneha, and thank you, Siddhavidya, and to all, and to Inside Bharat. Thanks a lot.
I thank everybody, all the participants also for joining us.
And thanks to all the participants who have seen me, who have heard us. Thank you. Thanks to all.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.